Hey, Nellie, do you even realize what you've done? How could you neglect your duties as a wife and burden Sal like this? You're the worst wife ever. I'll teach you a lesson. Mother-in-law, there's a reason I left. I don't care. We've decided to move to a brand new beautiful apartment. If you want to live with us, I'll tell you where it is. Mother-in-law probably still doesn't know the whole story. I thought this might actually work in my favor. No thanks, I'm good. Huh? My name is Nellie, a 35-year-old office worker. I've been married to Sal for 5 years. He's currently 40, so there's a 5-year age gap between us. I've always been attracted to older men, and I fell for Sal because he's so calm and kind. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and we got married. Our married life was pretty good. But a few months ago, I could see the end of our peaceful life. I've been laid off. What? Sal was suddenly laid off. The company was struggling due to an economic downturn. I never thought Sal would be laid off, especially since he worked for a major corporation. I assumed we'd continue to live comfortably on his good salary, but nothing in life is guaranteed. We were suddenly in a tight spot. I used to be a homemaker, but I decided to start working again. I reached out to the company I left when we got married, thinking they might not rehire me, but luckily they did. Apparently, someone had just quit after giving birth. This job saved us from a total crisis. If Sal could find another job, we'd be okay. But it's tough for middle-aged men to find work. So he could only get a part-time job, earning around $700 a month. My salary isn't that high either, since I'm returning to work after 5 years. It's just enough for the two of us to get by. Hey, our rent is high. Should we move somewhere cheaper? I think it'd be better to save some money. To make our lives easier, we needed to cut our fixed costs. We used to live in a nice apartment because of Sal's high salary. But we should face reality and move to an apartment that's hundreds of dollars cheaper. However, Sal quickly shot down my suggestion. No, we're not moving. Why not? If we move to a smaller, cheaper apartment, my mom will ask why. I didn't get it. We can just tell her the truth that you were laid off and things are tough now. When I said that, Sal's face turned red, and he raised his voice. Stop it! Never tell my mom I was laid off. We can pay the rent with your salary and my earnings. We're fine as we are. I was shocked and frustrated. Is his pride and reputation more important than our well-being? Even if we can barely pay the rent, we're struggling and can't save any money. That's why I suggested moving. But once Sal's mind is made up, there's no changing it. So I had no choice but to give up. Our tough days continued, and then Sal said something unbelievable to me. Hey, is this all we're having for dinner today? We used to have more dishes back in the day. Are you slacking off now that you're working? You should balance things better. I was so frustrated by my husband's words that I snapped back. Times are tough, you know. I'm doing my best with both housework and my job. We have to cut back on food expenses because someone insists on living in this place due to their pride. Or maybe you could earn more. That'd be nice. When I made that provocative remark, my husband lost it. What the hell? Don't throw that in my face. Just watch. I'll get a job at a better company and earn more than you. That's my husband getting angry like that. He can be so tedious, but if this lights a fire under him, maybe it's for the best. However, the reality was that he couldn't find a full-time job and had to settle for part-time gigs. He wasn't studying or getting any certifications. He was just working part-time. Every time he went for an interview, he felt disrespected, especially by younger interviewers. Eventually, he gave up job hunting altogether. It was disappointing, especially after he had so passionately declared he'd earn more than me. But my problems weren't just with my husband. It was my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law is the person who does not hesitate to call me even though I am at work. She had already called over 10 times just this morning. When I called her back during my lunch break, she started yelling right away. "Pick up the phone immediately when I call." "Mother-in-law, I've told you I'm at work, right? I don't care about your little job. My calls come first." Ever since my father-in-law passed away a year ago, she's been calling me incessantly. Most of her calls were about checking if I was supporting her son properly. And now that she's heard I've started working, she's been calling even more frequently during my work hours. "So, have you talked to Sal about it? I haven't heard back from him." "I'm sorry, but moving in together is difficult right now." "I don't care about your opinion. There's no way Sal would oppose it." "Well, he's also finding it a bit challenging. Plus, we're financially tight right now." "That's impossible. Sal works at a big company. He must be earning well." I always find myself at a loss for words when she says this. My husband asked me not to tell her about his layoff, so I can't tell her the truth. She probably thinks I'm lying about our financial struggles. Her calls are relentless, not just during work hours, but also when I'm at home. Look, a wife should prioritize supporting her husband, and valuing your husband means valuing his mother. You haven't visited us in a while. You should come over. But I'm exhausted from my full-time job, and my husband's part-time job even takes up some of his weekends, so we hardly have any days off together. So, our days don't match. Sorry, both my husband and I are so busy that it's hard to coordinate our schedules. I don't care about your convenience. Besides, Sal is off on the weekends, right? One of you can come over." Mother-in-law seemed quite frustrated and kept pushing. I was about to reach my limit and decided to tell her the truth about my husband. "Well, my husband is working on weekends, too." "What? What do you mean?" Actually, just as I was about to spill the beans, my husband, who had been lounging on the sofa watching TV, rushed over and grabbed my phone. "Mom, sorry I haven't been able to visit lately. I'm working on a big project right now and even working on weekends. I promise I'll come to see you once things settle down." With that, he hung up and handed my phone back. "Why did you do that without asking me?" "Why were you about to tell my mom everything?" "We should just be honest. She'll keep misunderstanding and nagging me forever." "I don't want her to know. Just drop your silly pride for once." "Shut up. You've been living off me and now you're talking back." He stormed off to his room. Life was already stressful, and on top of that, I had to deal with mother-in-law's snide remarks and my husband's selfishness. He always said his part-time day job was tough and never did any housework. He wasn't working full-time, just working on the weekends and maybe once or twice during the week. I wish he'd either find another job or at least help with the chores. Or, I want you to remember housework and take the initiative. He's not pulling his weight, and I'm the one earning more, yet he complains about everything. I decided to leave home for a while. I went back to my parents' house for about a week to make him realize the difficulty of household chores. I had told my parents everything about our situation. They kept saying, "You should get a divorce." But I didn't want to give up so easily. We had been married for 5 years, and it was a love marriage. If we were to divorce, I wanted to try everything possible to make it work. Sure enough, my husband called when I got to my parents. "Hey, when are you coming back? What about my dinner?" "I won't be back for a while. You'll have to do the chores yourself." What? Stop joking and come back and do the chores. No, I won't. I want you to understand how hard it is. Do all the cleaning, laundry, and cooking. You'll realize how tough it was for me to do all that while working. I hung up. He called several times, but I ignored them all. Life at my parents' was so comfortable. Chores were divided among the three of us, and my mom cooked delicious meals, saying, "You must be tired." It felt so good to have meals served without doing anything. I stayed at my parents' for about a week. I wanted to stay longer, but my workplace was far from my parents', and I thought my husband might have realized the difficulty of household chores by now. I returned home after a long time. I was worried the house might be a mess, but it was cleaner than I expected. However, something felt off. Could it be? I checked my husband's room and noticed his clothes and suitcase were missing. He must have gone to mother-in-law's. I called him. "What do you want now?" "Where are you?" "At my parents' house." "You didn't go there right after I left, did you?" "That's right." "What are you thinking? That defeats the purpose." "It's your fault for leaving in the first place. I'm angry. I'm not coming back." "What do you mean?" "I'm going to live with my mom." "You're moving back home?" "No, we rented a new apartment and moved in." "What?" I was confused. As I was searching for words, the voice on the phone changed. "Hey, Nellie, do you realize what you've done? How dare you abandon your duties and burden Sal? You're the worst wife ever. I'll teach you a lesson." "Look, mother-in-law, I had my reasons for leaving." "I don't care. We've moved to a new, beautiful apartment. You want to join, right? If you agree to live with us, I'll tell you where it is." She probably didn't know anything. I thought this might work to my advantage. "No, thanks." "What?" She was taken aback by my quick refusal. "So, I won't be coming." "You mean you'll live alone? You've been relying on Sal. You can't survive on your own." "Don't worry. I earn enough to live by myself. If we're not living together, there's no need for us to be married. So, I'll divorce him." "What?" Both mother-in-law and my husband sounded shocked. "Wait, Nellie, we don't need a divorce." "I can't continue this marriage. I want to get away from a useless husband like you." When I belittled him, mother-in-law was furious. "How dare you speak to Sal like that? We don't need a wife like you. Sal, divorce her now." "Well, I'll prepare the divorce papers. You'll regret this. It's too late to apologize now." "I'd say the same to you." She hung up. I'm sure mother-in-law and my husband will come here with the divorce papers. Things are moving in my favor. I've given up on him since he went back to mother-in-law without any remorse. He won't change. There's no need to be together. I started packing my things, expecting them to arrive soon. A few hours later, mother-in-law showed up alone. "Where's Sal?" "He doesn't need to see you. Here, he's already filled out his part. Fill out yours quickly." Mother-in-law thrust the divorce papers at me. I couldn't help but notice that my husband's handwriting seemed shaky. He's such a kind soul. How could he hesitate to divorce a terrible wife like you? I'll never forgive you for causing him trouble. Enjoy your miserable life and regret this." She yelled at me as I filled out my part. My husband never had the guts to tell mother-in-law the truth because of his pride. What a pathetic man. "What happened to your family home?" "We sold it, so you can't just move in." "I wouldn't want to anyway." "How much did you sell it for? It was pretty old." That's none of your business. But I'll tell you anyway. We sold it for about $50K. Not a huge amount, but it helps. Sal will cover the rent for our new apartment. Really? I'm surprised he passed the credit check. What are you talking about? Sal earns a good salary, of course he passed. Did you put that $50K into Sal's account? Why? Oh, you figured it out. But who cares? Stop prying. It's clear you're still hung up on him. But it's too late. It's fine. I'll file the divorce papers. She stormed off, huffing and puffing. I was thrilled to finally be free from them. I packed the rest of my things, moved them to my parents' house, and then found an apartment for myself. I cleverly provoked mother-in-law so I didn't have to split any assets. You think I'd give you any of Sal's precious assets? Remembering my husband's pale face during the asset division discussion still makes me laugh. 2 years later, I got a call from an unknown number one morning. I wonder who it is in the morning hours before going to work. Thinking it might be work-related, I answered. It was mother-in-law. Nellie, please help. Mother-in-law, I don't think you should be calling me. We're strangers now. Don't say that. I'm in trouble. Let me guess. You can't pay the apartment rent and you've run out of savings. How did you... You never knew about his restructuring, did you? You knew? Yes. I tried to tell you many times, but Sal always stopped me. I'm so sorry, Nellie. Can you come back? No. He never tried to change, no matter how much I told him. And you always bullied me. I don't want to be with people like that ever again. Please, I'm at my wit's end. We don't even have food. According to mother-in-law, my husband kept up appearances, never revealing his restructuring. He paid the rent from the $50K mother-in-law got from selling the house. He also splurged occasionally, fearing mother-in-law would get suspicious if he didn't. Living like that, the $50K disappeared in no time, and it seems they're now broke. You brought this on yourselves. Why not let go of your pride, move to a cheaper apartment, and live modestly? I didn't expect this. I thought my talented son would support me, and I'd have a comfortable retirement. Mother-in-law sobbed. I quietly hung up and blocked her number. Just to be safe, I also filed a restraining order and made sure I could report any issues immediately. Honestly, both mother and son only think about relying on others. I'll use them as a cautionary tale and strive to be independent. With that thought, I refocused on the task at hand.